Good evening. It is I, Ron Carr. It is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. Many of you have had a great deal of stress in this day. Well, perhaps not stress, but you had to deal with a situation that normally does not come your way. Very many inches of snow. Now, for all of you, you have had experience dealing with different amounts of inches of snow. This one perhaps was more than you have ever dealt with before. But I want you to think of how competent you are at dealing with these things. You know what the weather is bringing because your weather forecasters let you know. Sometimes it is a big surprise how much you get or how little you get because they are not perfect in their predictions. But at least you are warned about it. And when you see it is a little bit of snow, you make a judgment, and perhaps you do not shovel your walks or your driveway, you get in your car, you go to work as usual. When it is a medium amount of snow, well, maybe that requires you to take some action. And you may set your alarms a little bit earlier to make sure that you can get to work on time because the commute will be a little longer because everyone will be driving slower. There might be accidents, and you may have to shovel your way out of your driveway before you can leave for work. And of course, for some people, this snow in your area was extraordinarily high and heavy. And so it required a lot more work. Perhaps you have machines at your house to help you clear the driveway. Perhaps you hire someone to help you out, or perhaps you just do it yourself. But you cope with the difference in circumstance. You can make a judgment as to what is the best action for yourself. And I just wanted to point this out to you. For many people, worry about things that might be. And perhaps before the storm materialized on your doorstep, dumping its white stuff all around your house and around, you were perhaps worried, thinking about how will it affect you? Will you be without power? Will you be able to go to work? Will you have an extraordinary amount, or will the weatherman be wrong again? And so it is all up to you. And you dealt with this situation when you saw it. And perhaps you, if there were any of you who were worrying, that you said to yourself, why did I worry? This is much less than I expected, or there was nothing I can do about it, but everything is okay. And I can cope with the way this situation is. And the reason I bring this to your attention is I wish to discuss that concept of worrying. And what is worrying? It's contemplating what possibly may come or may not come, depending upon what you want. If you want something to come, perhaps you worry that it will not come and what will happen to you and how you will feel if it doesn't come to you. And if you don't want something to come, well, then you are worrying the other way. What will happen? How will you feel? How will you cope? What will you do with it? Now, I think all of you have lived long enough to know that whatever comes, you somehow get through it. You cannot forecast what is going to come in the way of the weather, nor can you forecast exactly what will be coming to you in the way of other circumstances, both good and difficult to deal with. But in all situations, you are forced to deal with it. You take the action that you see is most advisable at the moment. You make the judgments as to what you should do. You are perfectly capable of doing this. Time wasted in worry is thinking about things that may never come to you. Or thinking, yes, it's always thinking about something that will not happen. And the reality is always much easier to deal with than the worry that you contemplate. And so I ask you the question, why do you worry? Is it just a habit that you want to think about this thing that is coming up in your future, which may be good or bad or not, depending upon how you want it to come out? But no matter what, whether it comes out the way you want it to or it doesn't, you cope with the situation, you deal with the situation, you take advantage of the situation, you do the best you can in every situation. So, my suggestion to you in this evening is that when you catch yourself worrying about what might possibly come and what may be, you cut yourself off and say, I am not going to think about this because I know that I will be able to handle the situation, whatever it is, whether it is a disappointment or it is a joy or it's a puzzle or work or hard to figure out. I will deal with it when it comes. And so you try not to think about these things. Continually put them out of your mind. And why do I want you to do this, particularly if you are worrying about negative circumstances? And we will take the coronavirus as an example. How will it be if I should catch the coronavirus? Will I survive? Will I have to go to the hospital? Will I make my other family members sick? What will happen? And if you constantly worry about whether you will get the coronavirus, well, the law is whatever you are thinking about, you attract to yourself. And so the more you worry about what you will do if you get the coronavirus, the more you are upping your chances of getting the coronavirus. You don't spend your time thinking about, well, I will be perfectly happy. I will be perfectly healthy. That if I should get the coronavirus, I will be just fine. I will simply be sick for a couple of days and then I will get well. Because that is what happens to most people. Most people are not dying. Most people are recovering. And this is what you can expect for yourself. So it is just important for you not to think about your getting the coronavirus. Because as I've said, what you think about is what you attract to yourself. Spend your time thinking about better things in your life, what you will do with your time off, how you will help someone else, how you will advance yourself in your career, a plan to enjoy your life. Even think about what you will make for dinner tomorrow, or for lunch, or for breakfast. Anything that is constructive is worth your thought, as opposed to something that is destructive. And so you don't spend your time thinking about ways in which you may be harmed, or ways in which you may be hurt, or that feeling of helplessness that you have from time to time, that you may not be able to cope. Because the truth is that you have all the knowledge and all the wisdom and all the strength, and you always cope in every situation. You have no choice. And so what happens is that you do it. So I would like you all to relieve yourself of worry. Don't let yourself worry. Just know that whatever you are afraid of, whatever you would like to worry about, that all will be well, that you will take the right actions, you will say the right words, you will do the right things, which will heal the situation or make it come out right, because you have the ability to do that. And if things do not come out right, because sometimes there are things that just will not work the way we want them to, that this is what is best for you. And in the end, everything will come out right. And either you will learn something, you will grow, you will become stronger for any trials and tribulations which come your way. But when you have successfully finished dealing with a trial or tribulation, it makes you stronger, and you know you are stronger because perhaps you have come through the most difficult time in your life and you have succeeded. And that is what happens more times than not. And so, my message to you in this evening is learn not to worry. Worry is time spent thinking about something which probably will not happen. And so choose to be a positive, make affirmations to your strength and your ability, and know that you are totally competent to deal with every situation that comes into your life. Are there any questions on what I've said tonight, or I would perhaps like questions from on other subjects?
Yes. How do we know we are going to be totally competent to handle every situation? We perhaps did get through a lot of difficult situations in our lives, but we can't know that we are going to be able to handle any situation.
Well, I would disagree with you, because if you look at your past and you looked at how you coped with situations in the past, the situations that came up that you had no knowledge of right behaviors or the right thing to happen, by the time you were finished with the situation, you still had finished. It may have been difficult. You may have made some wrong decisions or taken wrong actions. But the truth of the matter is that everything in the universe, all the knowledge that you need, is already within you. Because part of you is always in spirit and is aware of all the information that you would need to come through that situation. Now, not everyone can know and have confidence in that because they perhaps lack knowledge of the fact that since they are part spirit, and spirit has all knowledge that is needed in any lifetime, they may not realize that they have this within them. But if you know that you have it there, you only need to trust the knowledge that you have. And you look inside. So you take moments perhaps in contemplation. Some people would say meditation, and you can meditate if you wish, because almost the same answer and the same result will come forward. As you contemplate the situation and you ask for yourself, what can I do? How can I make this work out? What is best for me? You think about these things and allow yourself to just think in an open way, because you are seeking a solution. You are not worrying about that you won't make it. You are seeking a solution. You are seeking the right action to take at this moment. What is best for you? What should you do in this situation? And while it may not come to you while you are sitting there, the answers do come. You may wake up and discover that you have an idea on what to do. You may be doing the dishes and something will suddenly come into your head. You may be having a conversation with a friend, and the friend gives you exactly the information or the clue that you need to find the information that you need. So these things always come to you in some way if you ask Spirit. And you ask yourself, what is the best way of dealing with this situation? And so this is what you need to have confidence in yourself. At the very least, you who can look at the back on your life and think of the most difficult things you had to do and how much perhaps you dreaded them and how you were unhappy that you had to do this. But by the time it was finished, over and done with, you had survived and you were on a new pathway in life, one which made you more confident in yourself because you were competent. And just doing what you need to do, being competent, leads to greater confidence in yourself. And so that is how you know. You, in particular, have coped with very many things from the youngest years for yourself. And you slowly and surely developed all the skills, all the attitudes. You learned what you needed to know. You took the right actions to bring you success and peace and harmony in your life. So look to your past and let that be your guide to know that yes, you can survive anything and come out on top. There is a saying that the situation hasn't ended happily or well, it simply hasn't ended yet. And that is to say that there are interim solutions along the way, which may not be satisfactory, but they're part of the process. And there's always improvements which continue to come if you continue to search for them and seek them. And when you finally reach all the knowledge, all the wisdom, and have completed everything, then all will be well, and you will be well. I hope that's helpful to you.
Well, it was certainly beautiful. Thank you very much for the answer. And
You're welcome.
it's very encouraging. Thank you.
Yes, and that is what you have to know. Your successes in the past guarantee your successes in the future. Do not worry that this time I won't be able to cope with it, because you have always coped before. Are there other questions? Well, is that it for the night?
I have a question.
Oh, yes, I can just barely hear whoever's speaking.
It's
Speak
Diana.
up a little.
It's Diana.
Diana?
Yes, DiGiacomo. My question is, what you're speaking about tonight, and you said that you definitely have part of yourself in the energy realm. There's a higher self that's always there. And you talked about meditation and focus and thinking about your trying to reach inside to reach that higher self. But how do I take advantage of my higher self working with my spirit guides? I mean, how do I ask them to come down and help me? Say I want to be a writer. How do I elicit that help from them? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand. I'm thinking, contemplating what you have said about you want to be a writer and how to ask for spirit help. Well, you simply ask for, you know how to write.
Mhm.
It is not that you do not know how to
Mhm.
write. You have written many things. And
Mhm.
so perhaps you are looking for help with a particular area of a story, or what is it you wish to write? I do not ask you to answer that question, but whatever it is that you wish to write, whether it is a scholarly dissertation on something, or a piece of fiction, or even not something scholarly, but just guidance in doing something, telling somebody, giving advice, so to speak. It doesn't matter what you wish to do, you are seeking for words. And so the words are always there in your mind and within you. And
Yes.
so the question you ask is, what is the best way to do this? How can I say this? Give me the inspiration to make my outline, to figure out exactly what I want to say, and then help me to say it and verbalize it, and then go through all the things that you need to do this.
Mhm.
You see, if you continue to try, you will have little spurts where suddenly everything will come together for a few moments or a few hours, and you will write like mad. And then you will come to an obstacle again, because that is the creative process. Every creator has in its mind the thought of what they wish to create. Now, since this is creation, it is usually something new. You are not copying other people. You're not looking to see what other people have done. And so in the creative process, since it is new, it is new territory, and you will not be able to have the ability perhaps to build upon what other people have done. And so you have to think of it on your own. And if it's something that you wish to build out of a piece of wood, say a piece of sculpture, or even wood, you have to think about what you need, what materials do you need, and perhaps you want to draw a picture of it. You have a concept of what it should do in the end, but you can't figure out how to make it happen. It is the same for any creative process. By focusing on what you wish to do and you wish to achieve and what you are trying to express, you make starts, false starts sometimes. But it doesn't matter, because every start becomes the avenue by which you learn something new. Your famous inventor of Edison, Mr. Albert Edison, he said that invention was 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. And it is try again. Every failure brings you closer to success. So that is how you work with spirit. Now, let me just discuss that idea or concept or understanding that part of you is always in spirit. You are composed of both body and soul. You have a subconscious or a subjective mind. The subjective mind remembers everything and knows and stores everything that you have ever experienced, both good and bad. And so things that bolstered your self-confidence, things that came easily, that made you feel good are in there, as well as all of the things that you didn't work out well, and perhaps harsh words from your parents or teachers or other adults of influence. Perhaps it was taunting by other children when you were a child. Yes, all that is there in your subconscious mind, holding everything. And your subconscious mind is your partner in creation. But there is still another part of yourself, which is referred to as the higher consciousness. The higher consciousness is that which remains in spirit and connected to spirit. And this higher consciousness cannot speak directly to your mind and your brain. It gets the information that you want, and it has to talk to you through your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind brings it into the brain in its own way, sometimes through dreams, sometimes through daydreaming, or just random thoughts. It suddenly sends that information to the mind, and the mind catches it, and then you can move forward. So when you ask spirit, when you ask yourself to help yourself, I need to know, I want to know, how does this work? How can I do this? What can I say? So if your desire is to be a writer, then you decide what you want to write. And I believe they have something called outlines, and you outline what it is you wish to say, so you have a piece of guidance for yourself. And this may happen very quickly, or it may take you a long time to organize your thoughts. But if you keep putting them down on paper, you will eventually organize them. And then you can start to use the words to express what you wish to express. And that is how you will be a writer. Now, perhaps you are asking how to be a successful writer, leaving out that word successful. And of course, everyone can write, but not everyone can be successful. Just as everyone can sing. Well, most people can sing, but some will sing better than others. And there are many, many talented musicians and singers out there, all of which have great talent, but not everyone will be successful, because success comes partially in marketing yourself. You have to find a way to let others know about you and learn about you and hear you or read you. So you have to market your writings in order to be successful. And if you have not written something that people want to read, then you simply will not be successful, because it takes people's desire to partake of what it is you are creating in order to be successful. And that is the most important thing. You may have brilliant ideas, interesting things. You may have great plot ideas if you're writing fiction. But if people are not interested in those plot ideas or what you have said, they simply will not read it. If it is something that they don't want to use, they will not buy it, even if you create it. And that is what is important to remember when you are in the creative process and you want to be a successful creator in the economic sense, or in even just be well known, even if you do not care if you are economically rewarded, that you have to give people what they want in the arts world or in any other world. You may create a fabulous machinery, but if it doesn't do something that people want to accomplish, they will not buy it. And so putting that word success in front of your artistic or other creative endeavor. You must remember that you have to figure out what other people want or what other people like. And then you will be able to be successful because you can create to that desire. And I hope this has been helpful. Are there further questions on it?
No, it's so much to contemplate and put together, and it's been very helpful. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. Are there other questions?
Ronkar, this is Tanya. I have a question.
Yes, Tanya.
I've been studying and practicing spiritual, readings and healings, and I have a business. I find it's common for those who work in that field to have challenges with accepting money for those services. Can Ronkar give an opinion on either why that is or how to overcome it? So, I'll spend a lot of money on training classes and studying and a lot of time to perfect it, but then it's hard for me to receive money for, a reading or a healing. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. That is a common problem. And not just in the spirituality venue or work. Many people who are very talented in other areas cannot market themselves. As we have talked about, to be successful, you must create something that other people want, but you also must market yourself in such a way that people can see that you can provide to them that what they need or that which they desire. So there is often a training program for yourself to pronounce, yes. Instead of studying just something to say enhance your clairvoyance, you need also to proclaim that you are deserving of being well paid for your services. And think about the prices that you pay, and you advertise, and you do your proclamations, your affirmations, saying to yourself how good you are and how you are worth every penny that you are being paid. After all, you sell your services when you work for someone else, do you not? Whether this is for clerical work, or whether you're a dental assistant, or whether you're a secretary or an administrative assistant or a plumber, you are selling yourself and your energy and your time to your employer. And so when someone hires you to give them a reading or to do something, to give them a healing, you have to know that you are worth it, and you have to tell them that this is what you charge, and you have to be willing to do it. Now, many people, unfortunately, have been given the message that, particularly with spiritual work is concerned, it is not spiritual to be well paid. That you should not be charging for your services. It is a misconception. You are entitled to be paid for the work that you do, but you have to have that firmly in your mind and know that truth in such a way that you can do it. You don't work for free in your normal employment unless the spiritual services are your full employment. And then it will be hard for you to eat. So you must charge money. And just as you are paid if you have an outside job other than the spiritual world, so it is that you should expect payment for whatever it is you do. It is a difficult lesson to learn. Many people give away a lot of their knowledge and a lot of their expertise all the time. And it does not matter whether they are, whatever their field of endeavor is, there is always the possibility of giving away your skills for nothing because you help people. And helping people is a worthwhile thing. And you can always tell yourself that you will give freely so much of your time to people for free. But that is a dangerous road to pathway to walk, because you will have then even more difficulty paying. So that my advice would not be good for that. Better you make financial contributions if you want to help people, to agencies or groups that help people, or donate your time to those groups and separate that from your spiritual business. So I don't think I have been very helpful, but that is because it is a very difficult thing for you to adjust in your mind. You have to figure out, why do I have trouble charging for my services? And then correct your attitude concerning that. So it is individual to yourself. Perhaps you are unsure as to how good your services are. Maybe that makes you feel that you are less than worthy of being paid because you are not certain that you are giving full value, in which case you need to address your self-confidence levels and to know that you give good service for your whatever it is you are providing. So there is that. And you have to look at anything or any field where people are self-employed, whether they be psychologists or doctors. All these people need to charge for their services. And they have to overcome their desire to just help, where they know that they have to be paid. I don't know if I have been enough help, but it's a difficult question. So what you must do for yourself is first decide, why do you have a problem charging for your services? And then correct the attitude that stops you from charging. And you can do that through affirmations. Talking to yourself, that's an affirmation. Praying on it. And just forcing yourself to do it. After a while, it will be easier. I hope I've been of some help.
Oh, yes, that final sentence packed a punch, forcing yourself to do it, and then it will become easier. That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Are there other questions?
Yeah, I had a question that you were talking about. All right, say you're come to a pathway, you can go right or left. And how are you going to know like which one your higher self is influencing? Like say you're determined to go to the right, and then you go to the right and you run into a bunch of stumbling blocks. Well, how do you determine whether these stumbling blocks are there for you to get past and go over and keep going that way, or are they there to tell you that you should have taken the other path?
The other path would have had stumbling blocks too, because nothing is free of stumbling blocks. And that is what you need to understand. There is no one right path which will make your life free and easy, because that is not why you came here, to have a free and easy life. You came here to demonstrate something, or to learn something, or to give something. Those are the three main reasons for coming into an incarnation with the time and place of your birth and the people that will be your family members and friends, the place that you were. So you need to understand that there is no one right pathway that is easy.
Didn't you say the
reason-
higher self is guiding us?
They can help
Or
you.
knows which way it wants to go or something, and
They can
like
still
maybe are
help
we in
you.
competition with it?
No,
Oh.
what is happening is that the pathway has problems, always has stumbling blocks, because that is the way of creation. It is not an easy thing to live in the physical world. It is always a challenge. And anything that is worth doing is worth doing in such a way that you are going to learn from it and you will benefit from it in this way. So when you run into stumbling blocks and you took the pathway that you wanted to, because this is what seemed most attractive to you, you probably made a right decision, but it probably wouldn't have mattered which pathway you took. You would have had stumbling blocks. They may even have been the same stumbling blocks, such as it would divide and you would have to cross a river. Well, you're going to have to cross that same river whether you had taken the right pathway or the left pathway. It just will have different problems in doing it. One may have stepping stones, one you may have to create something else. One, the water may be shallow, the water may be deep, it may be swift, it may be slow and lazy on one pathway and the other, but you would still have to cross the river. So it doesn't matter which pathway you choose. When you run into stumbling blocks, they are merely the way you will learn and you will grow and you will become more competent, because that is part of the reason why you are here. You came here to create. Creation cannot be achieved without work, without judgments, without learning things. Otherwise, what you create would not be truly creative. It would be perhaps mimicking or doing the same thing other people did. If other people went in front of you and solved all the problems, you would not be creating. Know what the word create means. It means bringing something out of nothing, a new idea, a new concept. Now you create the world that you live in through your words, your actions, your decisions, and your perceptions. It's as simple as that.
I love the way you keep saying things are simple. We always think they're so difficult.
Well, I mean to say, when it's simple, is that you have no other choice.
Oh, I
It
see.
is like worrying. You
Oh,
see, it doesn't matter what you worry and you think about the possibilities. When the situation is in front of you, the stumbling blocks, the things you have to deal with will give you no other choice but to find solutions for that. And if it is a solution, it is something new for yourself. So it is a creation.
okay.
So when you ask Spirit for your help, then you ask Spirit again. You don't ask him to tell you which pathway to take, because you're not really going to get an answer. It's up to you. You have to make that decision for yourself. He's not going to tell you, Spirit is not going to tell you to do it this way, because it is your life. And you have to make those decisions. So, but after you make that decision and you run into the stumbling blocks and you ask the question, how can I solve this problem? How can I overcome this stumbling block? That's when the wisdom and the answers that you seek from spirit begin to come to you.
Okay. Alrighty, I think I got the idea.
Yes, I need to use the term again. It is fairly simple. You have
Okay.
no choice. You must deal with something the way it is. And that it is just the way of living in the physical world.
Mhm.
The physical world gives you the challenges by which you can learn things and make progress and move and create your life. And the more you are aware of your own actions and making your own decisions and working with your perceptions, your beliefs, your ideas to come up with happy solutions for yourself, new ways of looking at things so that you can be happy with the life you are living, the happier you are. And that is that is part of the joy of creation, that you are creating your life and you are creating your perceptions and you are being successful in overcoming the problems and issues that are attached to every life in the physical, on the physical plane.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, your recent changes in government are probably going to bring about a whole new set of challenges for everyone in different ways.
Mhm. More people arguing.
Well, you can continue to argue, but that's kind of like worrying. It is a waste of time. Just know what you know and stick
Yeah.
to your own ideas and don't try to talk other people into seeing things your way. They'll figure it out for themselves and see things their way anyway.
True.
Are there other questions?
Yes, I'd like to ask, could you speak a little bit about the autistic children? There's so many of them throughout the world. And I was just wondering, aside from the health issues that are um, that, that we know of, what is from a spiritual perspective, and by that I mean, um, I'm assuming, I think that perhaps they, as a group, they've made an agreement to come onto Earth and to incarnate with this specific issue. And if that's so, what is the lesson here for all of us on Earth that we must learn by addressing and dealing with them, by helping them and taking care of them and teaching them and nourishing them?
The autistic children, yes, I see your question. And yes, they, of course, they came to be on Earth in the physical plane with this, we will call it an affliction, although there are aspects of it which sometimes bring great skills in their own way. But it is still an affliction in that they are different from one another. Individuals that are very different from one another for autistic children are highly individualistic. While they may have some general patterns that are similar and some problems that are similar, each one needs to be treated independently for the best effect. You cannot generalize and just kind of brand them and stick them in a chair and teach them all the same. They have to be custom. People need to adjust. What is the lesson or why they are here? I need to, I have not looked into that situation or that particular question. Just give me a moment, please. So there are two sides to the incarnation that is the life of an autistic child. There is the side of the parents, and there is the side of the child itself. For the parents' lives are greatly influenced by this issue in their life that they have an autistic child. It is a child that is going to engross them and take a great deal of their attention in order to help the child in the best way. And it is going to be difficult for these parents. Some parents will handle the situation successfully and motivate these children, deal with all the issues, and help these children to be the best that they can be. And in the process, they give great service to that child, as well as other people, for the skills that they learn in dealing with their autistic child. It gives them great skills in dealing with people. And so this enhances them as people who have the ability to deal with other people, help other people in different situations, and encourage and advance the lives of other people. The other half is the life of the child itself, or the person who is autistic. They have chosen to come into a life with a difficulty in behavior or acting, which goes along with the body and their physical development. For sometimes this situation, autism, manifests as a developmental problem in that the child has not developed after it has come into the world, has not developed in the most normal of ways. Not so far different from people who develop difficulties and illnesses and sicknesses as they age and mature. There are autoimmune diseases which cause people problem, lupus, multiple sclerosis. The names of another one has just gone out of the medium's mind, so I can't find it. But it is one in which great pain is experienced. And there are those people who are born with birth defects such as blindness or deafness or cerebral palsy because they experience brain injuries. These are all the same things that we are talking about with children who have autism. It is just another expression of a disability that exists within the normal range of human beings. And while this autism may not have been very common 100 years ago, it is more because many of these children did not survive very long, rather than the disability wasn't there. So from their point of view, they have a disability. And with the aid of their parents and the aid of schooling and societal members, they can be equipped, can learn to deal with society in ways that is expected of them. And so they are brought forth in their own way. Many of them are, of course, highly intelligent. Some may not be as intelligent as others, or may have stronger learning difficulties. All of these are just situations to be overcome in a life in order to give it meaning and to enjoy life. And all of these things are possible. Life on Earth in the physical plane is a learning experience. It has great possibilities. You are the creator of your life. Your words, your actions do create the life that you experience, and that you you just create your life in this way. And when these autistic children, while they were an issue, I'm not going to say that they still are, that they are not now, but that people know how to cope with this and how to deal with it much better, and ways of helping autistic children to become more able to behave in ways that are normal within the society, so that they get along in society well. They may be able to bring things to society that society needs, or they have unique abilities, many of them, of the creative process and how their brains work. So it is just like any other disability that is determined that this person would have difficulty within the society due to some obstacle, whether it be blindness or deafness, or they have lack of physical movement because they have cerebral palsy, or they develop an illness such as lupus or multiple sclerosis or other things. It is just a challenge to be in a body with these things. And those who choose that challenge, and those who choose to be parents to someone like that, they are all, it is a choice that is made. And they have to cope as best they can and create the best life possible for themselves. So I do not know if I have answered your question, but it is, autistic children are no different than others who have other impairments in their life, other than an inability perhaps to, or a fear of loud noises, or it does not matter what the behavior abnormality is. Perhaps they stretch our imagination and our understanding of what is normal, for there is very little in this world that you can truly brand as normal. Everything is individual, everything is different, everything is unique, because this creation consists of the creation of many millions of people. And so it is unique to every person in every community, in every state, in every country throughout the world. They are all unique. And so it is just part of the variety.
So I have a question on that. Is that a karmic situation, or is it just a choice to experience something different, or to experience a challenge in an incarnation?
Yes, it could be either. It could be either way to think of it. It could be karmic, that people choose to be in this situation because of something in their past life, past lives that for which they are either working out and understanding because they are learning and growing in a different way. They are coming to experience something. They are coming perhaps to make up for something. And remember that there are two sides, because there are the parents and there are the children. And you might say there are the siblings as well as the grandparents. These are all people who are part of the network of a karmic situation. And everyone will be affected and experiencing something different. So it can be a karmic situation where someone is trying to balance out something from a previous lifetime or to learn and understand something that was not understood or experienced in a previous lifetime. Or it simply could be a desire to challenge oneself, to overcome difficulties, and to demonstrate, as I have been talking about, the power that really resides within you. Either the autistic child to demonstrate his ability to overcome this difficulty, which he finds within his body to lead a happy, healthy life, or whether it is also from a family member, to always have someone that you love or have difficulty loving, that this could be your challenge in the sense that is karmic, but it is also learning lessons and demonstrating ability. It is important to recognize that, as in my talk, you have the ability to cope and deal with anything that comes into your life, because that is the way, this is what you chose, and all knowledge is within you. And so you have that ability. And to know that, and know that you will find the solutions, is to empower yourself. And to experience those solutions is to grow in confidence and knowledge and wisdom. Are there other questions?
Yeah, Ranka, on the same subject, this is Mahesh. On the same subject, I have a sibling, my brother, younger brother, and when he was 5 years old, he suffered meningitis. He suffered from meningitis, and whole of my life I supported him. Now, in that case, was that a karmic situation, and what was the situation?
You want to know if that was a karmic situation?
Yes, and yes, and what was the situation? Why this happened? I had a great difficulty whole of my life.
I realize that you have dedicated and given him a lot of your time and certainly a lot of your money in helping him to live almost as normal a life as was possible for him, and almost to the point where you hindered him from developing as much as he could, because you facilitated his well-being without him making extra effort to manifest it himself. So you were asking what the karmic situation is, if it was karmic. To a certain extent, because you choose your parents, you choose the families you are coming into, you choose the life that you are going to live in the area and the situations that you will experience. You then give yourself, you choose a series of situations that you will experience, and you will grow. I mean, you gave of yourself. It was a very noble thing to do in many ways. And so you had opportunity to act in a very spiritual and loving and forgiving manner, even if it was perhaps a little bit overboard, in that you did not have to do as much. And you, as I said, you may have hindered his development to some extent because you saw too many of his needs. He was not forced to do as much as he perhaps needed to do and should have done in order to take care of himself. So you had a lesson to learn there, in that you saw that giving was not totally beneficial to him. And eventually you had to take actions on your own behalf for your own well-being, and what was good for you and your new family, meaning your wife and son and daughter-in-law. You had to do that. And also it was necessary to do that so that your brother and his family could be developed as much as they could possibly be, rather than being taking advantage of your generosity. So what was the karmic situation? Well, you did have a challenge and you did grow from it. If you were asking what you did wrong, I would say that more it was how you wish to be of service to others in your family, that it was a service issue for yourself, a desire to help others. And so you thought this might be an interesting life to experience. And you have certainly learned from this life. As for your brother, why he came into this situation now, and his karmic need was to being handicapped in the ways that he was handicapped on a mental level, that he needed to develop himself as much as he could. And because he had your help, he did not do that, although he still has time to deal with why he came into a handicapped body. Also, in a sense, he was giving you an opportunity to be of service to him, to help him, to be generous. So there was a little bit on both sides. Each of you had a situation. Now, I cannot say whether this may have been from a previous lifetime that you two had together, or it was simply that on a karmic level, this is what you desired to experience, and also what he desired to experience.
And what was for him to come as a mentally that kind of person? What was the reason for him? What was the motivation to come as a
See, with his mental handicap, he would have to work harder in order to develop himself and become as much as he could be. And this was the challenge that he desired to overcome. But he didn't quite overcome it, did he?
No, he didn't.
So it is something that he will deal with either in another lifetime, or perhaps choose less of a handicap, or have a less loving brother.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he will choose to be the loving brother, but do it differently. Who knows what each person chooses when they come back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I understand that.
Yes. Are there other questions?
Yes, I would like to ask Ramkar, thank you. Are there anything, or is there anything you might suggest that can be done to transmute negatively incurred karma during your present lifetime?
In a sense, what you are saying is, how do I get rid of this karma?
Well,
I
believe we've all done things that might not have been loving or in, service to others in a way that would be of a higher vibrational consciousness. So I'm wondering, are there ways that you can transmute what you might think might be a karmic consequence that you would need to balance in another? Yes.
Yeah. And it is really very, very simple.
Okay.
If you feel that you have a situation which karmically you feel that you have this particular problem, it is important just to recognize that is the main thing about karma, is to understand that this is my problem in this lifetime. It does not matter what I did in the other lifetime to deserve this or to desire to be in this situation. But this is what my karma is in this lifetime, that I am always encountering this situation which causes me a problem. Now, why do I, knowing that is half the karmic battle, as you say, transmuting it. So it's to look at yourself and how do you find yourself in the same situation over and over again? Is it a product of your thinking? Do you think in a certain way that causes you to make a certain judgment that causes you this problem? Or is it in your actions? So you have to figure that out. And as soon as you figured that out for yourself in this lifetime, you can begin to correct your problem. You can begin to find different ways of thinking. Now, perhaps you have a situation where we will say that you are oversensitive and you are being hurt all the time. You feel you are being betrayed by people. All your friends always betray you. And it happens over and over again. Well, this is a problem in your perceptions. It is a problem in your expectations. You are expecting people to behave in ways, in certain ways. Doesn't matter what it is. You have expectations on people as to what their behavior should be. It's a judgment that you make. This is how my friend should be, and this is how my friend should treat me. And when they don't treat me in this way, for whatever reason, they don't behave or they say something or they don't do something, I get upset. Well, you have to figure out why you expect people to behave as you want them to behave. Why should people behave as the way you want them to behave? God gave us all free will. We can do whatever we want. Therefore, if God gave us free will, how can you expect people to behave the way you want? So you can't make that judgment that they are doing something wrong or betraying you in some way, because most people, almost 100% of the time, do what they think is best for themselves. They do not think of you. They think of themselves. So what they say or what they do is not personal to you. It's always a reflection on themselves and either their upbringing, the way they think, or whatever it comes from. And so when you cannot make things personal, you will not be upset by the behaviors of others. It's only when you personalize their behavior and say, why are they doing this to me? A more proper question is, why are they doing this? Well, that's a problem that they have. And really, it's none of your business why they are doing that. If it bothers you, you can either not bother with them anymore, separate yourself from them, or you can just accept them the way they are if you are capable of that, and that's a challenge for you. Or you can yes, you can separate yourself, or you can accept them the way they are, or you can change your perceptions and just say, well, that's the way they are. And I'll put up with them like that. They will always do that, and I just can't expect things of them. They will always disappoint me because that's the way they are. So that's a change in your perception, where you are accepting of someone else and you change the judgment. So it is only you who can look at these situations and decide, why is this happening to me all the time? It doesn't have to happen to you all the time. It happens to you because of either what you're expecting, what you're thinking, how you're judging the situation, or actions that you are taking, that you set yourself up in situations where you get certain results. So what are you doing wrong? And as soon as you figure out that, that's my problem. I have expectations on people, or I always say this thing which really hurts me in the long run. Similar to the person who has trouble charging for her services. If she thought that this is karmic for her, why does she have trouble? Well, perhaps she can look into her childhood and say that, well, I never received a lot of support from my parents or family members, and I didn't feel that I was ever good enough for anything. So, really, I don't think I'm good enough. Why I can't charge people for my services, because I don't think I'm good enough. See, that might be her problem. You might have something similar, but that's in her thoughts and her actions. So she does not take money. And in a sense, she hurts herself every time. And she may help others, and that makes her feel good. And perhaps that's what she should expect. Maybe she can't change to make herself charge. But if she's happy giving it away, and she's happy helping people, she's getting a reward for her work. And perhaps that is what she wants, really, more than money. But maybe she does want money, in which case she has to understand and know that your services are worth her money. So you see, sometimes it can be your actions, sometimes it can be your thoughts. You need to figure out what it is. And it doesn't matter why you have this, but if it's if it's causing you unhappiness in your life, then it is up to you to change it. And it probably, if it happens over and over again, it is probably a karmic situation from the past where you decided to come in with a particular set of attitudes, ideas, and actions, and that you have to change those things and make yourself be the way that brings you the greatest happiness. Move your thoughts. Think about what it is. How can I change my thoughts or my expectations or my ideas? For those things that you have in your mind are all changeable if you want to change them. I hope that's helpful.
Well, I appreciate what you said, but that wasn't exactly what I had in mind. I was thinking more in the lines of actions that I might have taken, and wondering if there's a way, because for every action, there's, I guess, some karmic consequence. That's what I mean. Is there a way, once, if you know that you've done things that were harmful, is there a way to avoid or transmute the karma of that action? That's really what I had in mind.
Oh,
But I
well,
appreciate the other
yeah.
comments that you
Yes,
gave.
well, let me then address the question more, since you have asked it. I understand your question to be different than what I interpreted from your words the first time. If you feel that you have offended someone, of course, then you must apologize. You must forgive them and forgive yourself for having made the mistake. You can ask them if there is any way you can make up for it. That's like healing an argument. You're sorry, I said something, I did something that caused you pain. I did not mean to do that. And I ask your forgiveness, and I would like to do something to make it up for you. And that is all you can do in most situations such as that, when you recognize you have made an error in such way, is to confess to the error, either to yourself and resolve not to do it again, and to be more careful in the future so that you don't do something again. If you can, compensate them for it in some way. And of course, I use the term compensate, but it is not meant to say that you will pay them something or you will give them something, but it may be just the apology, and that you will try to be more careful in the future to avoid that situation, or do your best not to do that again, because you recognize your mistake. Once you have done that, there is nothing else you can do, and there really is nothing else you need to, because you have already apologized, you have asked for forgiveness. You can forgive them if you wish. You have to forgive yourself so you don't carry the guilt around. And do your best to not behave in that way that you deem was inappropriate behavior. So I think that is what is more the answer you were seeking.
Yes.
It is not that you have to go crazy and, make a holy voyage on your knees,
Mhm.
as it was once thought ever so long ago.
Oh, thank you.
So are there any other questions? I believe we're getting near the time to say goodnight. And so I am going to give you all my blessings. I give you my blessings. Good night. Hi, I'm back. Okay, everybody. It's the end of the evening here. I hope you enjoyed yourself tonight. Is there any questions?